Gamers, I am so happy to be talking about this topic today. And look, I might be coming off a bit copium today. I really don't think I am copium, and I'm going to explain all my reasoning here. But I'm like pretty much 99.9% convinced that Maxx C is finally going to get banned in Masterduel, and for very good reason. I'm sure a lot of you have probably seen the latest DZF and MBT videos about this new card coming out. It's called Malt Chummy Purulia, or Purulia. It's very obvious to me that it's written in such a way to do what Maxx C does in a way that's a lot more reasonable for just the modern game and how Yu-Gi-Oh is. So we're going to take a look at it here. I'm just going to change scenes back to this one. Yeah, this might look a bit weird. I zoomed out my camera more just for like when I'm talking to the camera. So you just have this big microphone here, but we won't be staying in this scene for too long here. But yeah, this is the card, Malt Chummy Purulia. Really cute card. Not going to lie, very cute. Eventually, you're going to see a UR sign right up here. And let's just read it together, and we're just going to compare where it differs to Maxx C. And after that, I really want to discuss like why I'm super convinced that we're not going to have Maxx C and this card in the game together. But either way, I just really wanted to discuss this card because, for one, I'm really excited about the idea of Maxx C being banned in Masterduel. So if you control no cards, already massive difference. You can discard this card, apply these effects for the rest of this turn. Each time your opponent normal or special summons a monster, but specifically from the hand, you get to draw a card. During the end phase, if you have more cards in your hand than the number of cards your opponent controls plus 6, shuffle cards from your hand into the deck equal to the difference. You can only activate this once per turn. Very important differences here. I think that last one, actually, during the end phase, if you have over 6 above what your opponent controls, shuffle random cards from your hand into the deck. Like, I think that aspect of the card is not really a big deal. What's really more important about this card is the fact that it's only from the hand and that you can only activate it while you control no cards. So one of the big complaints, and let's go back to the camera zoom here, one of the big complaints with Maxx C is that you can activate it after you already set up your board. You know, you went first, you set up your board, you activate Maxx C on your opponent's turn. So now not only do they have to contend with your board, they also have to contend with the fact that everything they summon gives you access to more interruption with hand traps, and also it just gives you more follow-up for turn 3 if they can't close out the game, which is very unlikely that they can, playing into a full board plus drawing multiple hand traps or interruptions or even an Ibiru or stuff like that. The fact that it works on normal summons is nice for decks that have a bunch of normal summons that would just like straight up ignore you know, the Maxx C clause, you know, like Fluanderies, for example, is basically special summoning, but instead they just normal summon a bunch. Actually, I think there's not that many decks that are going to be summoning from hand more than 2-3 times, and that basically means now this card becomes more so a kind of card you want to shotgun in the draw phase, risking a gamma. And it also means that, you know, after you shotgun it, you know, your opponent might only be summoning once out of the hand, twice out of the hand at most. So you'll be getting maybe like a Upstart Goblin to, you know, a Pot of Greed. Or worst case, you get gammaed and you just straight up, like, you're just going super minus for going Malt Chummy. I still think it's going to be run, though. I really do think so. I mean, there are many decks that will summon more than once from hand in a turn. At least, even those decks, it's like, well, I can contend with giving you 3 draws, you know? I can live with giving you 3 draws for getting my full setup, you know? But like, let's say for dinos, for example, that's a random example because dinos are not super relevant, but dinos do a decent bit of summoning from the hand. So you'll probably summon from the hand with dinos in a combo 2 to 3 times. So yeah, I mean, Pot of Greed is crazy for sure, but I'm much more okay with my opponent getting a Pot of Greed effect than my, you know, super like mid dino deck giving my opponent like 17 draws, you know? So like, obviously I think this only makes sense. It's actually a really smart consideration. And that's why I really don't think the last effect here, if you have more cards in your hand than the number of cards your opponent controls plus 6, shuffle cards from your hand into the deck equal to the difference. I think that aspect of the effect is not super important, just because I don't see that happening a lot unless someone was to intentionally make their board really small after you drew a lot of cards. You're still starting your turn with like 8 cards in hand. That's still super good. I mean, who would want to pass with 1 monster into 6, 7, 8 cards, you know? That's just not really a thing I would see happening. So I don't really think people, yeah, like I don't think that downside is really a big deal, or that it really does much of anything other than kind of help balance out maybe decks that are like gonna spam summons from the hand. But either way, all in all, I think this is a really strong balancing of Maxx C. I'm not 100% sure if everyone would run this in Masterduel. I think it's definitely debatable. Like I would definitely try it. I mean, I definitely would grab 3 copies, but are we all going to be running this? If everyone's running this, everyone's running Gamma, because you're going to shotgun this before your opponent normal summons. It's just the logical thing to do. Almost every deck normal summons, including even something as silly as Stun. So like to guarantee at least an Upstart Goblin off of this card, you'll want to activate it in the draw phase. And then on follow-up turns, if you control cards, you can't activate it. So I'm actually not 100% sure if people would run this like necessarily in a best of one format. I think most likely yes, but I'm just not 100%. But I do want to talk about why I think at this point Maxx C is definitely getting banned. For one, I don't think you can have this card and Maxx C legal at the same time. I think it's pretty obvious that this card is designed to kind of do what Maxx C does, but on a much weaker level, and that's more so just so they can actually just get rid of Maxx C. Now, Multchummy is giving the impression that it might be an archetype, and some people might think, oh, well, maybe there's going to be a whole archetype that does this stuff, you know? But I'm not super convinced about that. I mean, like, technically, Maxx C is part of an archetype, right? You have Contact C, Flying C, all those random C cards. Like, that's technically an archetype, too. So, I don't know. I'm not 100% on that. Like, I don't think Multchummy is just going to be the Maxx C archetype. But, I mean, I could be wrong, I guess. They could drop, like, 2 Multchummies or 3 Multchummies that all do the same thing of, like, drawing cards when you summon from hand. And it's like, oh, my God. And after recording this, I realized if they're going to make more Multchummies, my guess is they're probably going to be drawing from different spots, you know? So like this one draws when you summon a card from hand, another Multchummy would draw you a card if your opponent special summons from the grave, and another one would draw you a card if they special summon from the deck or the extra deck, you know? If they make more Multchummies, they might try to cover different spots from where you can summon, at which point I think one from the extra deck or the main deck might end up being more popular picks for draws. Like if they make a Multchummy that draws when you summon from extra deck, sure, you're going to get more draws than drawing from hand, but I actually still think that would be a lot more fair than Maxx C as it is right now, and I think that would be a pretty reasonable middle ground versus drawing every single special summon. So just wanted to point that out. Now I want to talk about why I think Maxx C is even legal. You know, it's obvious that they know Maxx C is broken. It's obvious that they know the card is too good. I think this card is a sign of it, to be honest, because look at all those extra restrictions that are on it. So I think what it is just from a game design perspective, they kind of feel like they need Maxx C legal for a best of one format. And in OCG, like I can't really speak for that, but I'm more so speaking just for Masterduel, why I think it's legal in Masterduel. Like many would argue, Maxx C is actually even worse in a best of one format because it's even higher impact. But I would argue like, yeah, but it's also forcing people that are playing combo decks to kind of gimp their decks to be able to deal with Maxx C. You know, so you have to run an anti-Maxx C package anytime you're playing a deck that's special summoning a lot and trying to go first in Masterduel. So in a way, like I think from a game design perspective, they kind of saw it as a necessary evil. At this point, it would already be banned in Masterduel if they didn't feel like it was serving a game design purpose. That's at least I'm very convinced of that. Like obviously the people making this game are not idiots as much as we want to think they are idiots. I don't think they are. You could also say it's like a financial motivation because obviously the anti-Maxx C package is pretty expensive with like every single deck needs like 3 Ash, 1 cross out, 2 called by, 3 Maxx C. Every single deck needs the anti-Maxx C and the Maxx C package to really play. So you could say it's financially motivated, which is totally fair, but there are game designers behind this game at the end of the day. They want people to play the game, right? And as much as we hate Maxx C, I mean, it's pretty undeniable that all these like unbreakable combo decks, they do kind of end up feeling a bit weaker in Masterduel because of Maxx C being around. I mean, like looking at something like Unchained, like, you know, supposedly that deck was crazy in TCG, but like in Masterduel, it's like rogue. You know, it feels rogue at best to me. I'm just saying it's undeniable that it makes going first with any like combo heavy deck pretty scary just to have Maxx C in the format. Now, despite all this, I think the reason we might be seeing this change is because, you know, people in the OCG have access to the data from Masterduel. I mean, Konami has access to the data in Masterduel, right? And I don't think Konami has ever had this much data on how certain cards are used in Yu-Gi-Oh! I mean, there's just nothing like tournament lists and tournament results will never compare to thousands and thousands and thousands of players playing 24/7 in your online game with all that data being constantly collected, all those statistics constantly collected. I mean, like, there's just nothing that really has ever compared to that, probably for Konami, in terms of just like learning how their game is played and like how many people are playing it, what way, etc., etc. I think that kind of information will result in seeing some changes in the OCG just based on how they see their game being played. Even if it's like a slightly different format in Masterduel, it still teaches them a lot about their own cards, I think. I know that sounds kind of stupid, but it is true. Like, you know, they never had a full wide scope. Like, they don't know how you're playing with your friend, you know, your IRL Yu-Gi-Oh at your table. Like, really the only data they really have is like tournaments, and like that doesn't really tell them how people play the game in general, you know? So when you look at something like Masterduel, I think it gives a much clearer picture of like the state of Yu-Gi-Oh, if you will, for people working on the game. And obviously if they want to change Masterduel or fix Masterduel with cards, they got to, you know, release the cards in the real life too. So it's like, oh, okay. So they'll probably want to replace Maxx C in OCG first, and then they'll probably release this in Masterduel. And the main reason I think Maxx C is not staying when this card comes out is because obviously these two cards can't coexist. Like, you, because it would stack. You would get draws from Maxx C and Multchummy, and at that point it's actually just a joke. Like, it's not even, it's literally like unbelievably stupid if they did that. And I don't think they're stupid. I really don't think they're stupid. I think a lot of the time what Konami does seems stupid because they have to balance, obviously, wanting to make money on the game with also wanting people to play it. So it seems really stupid what they do sometimes, but I genuinely don't think people working on this game are stupid. At the end of the day, if you're working on games, you probably like games, or you're like at least like care about game design on some level. And that's not even to say that I think they haven't been too slow with Maxx C. Masterduel's been out for 2 years. You know, over 2 years at this point. So yeah, I do think Maxx C at this point should have already been removed from the game, but what would they do then? They would have to like kind of change the entire ban list also. Because I do agree with people like in the comments when they say like, okay, but if there was no Maxx C, then they'd have to nerf all the combo decks for a best of one format, because otherwise the coin flip is way too strong. And I kind of agree, because Maxx, and people go like, that's not true, you know, board breakers are strong, etc., etc. But at the end of the day, your odds of seeing a board breaker are way higher if you have 3 cards in your deck that'll just draw you a bunch of cards. At the end of the day, something that helps you dig a little deeper for your board breakers is probably very important, just to make a best of one format feel like the coin flip is less decisive. So I do agree with people when they say that. I don't think, you know, I don't think people are talking shit when they're saying like combo decks are a little too good in Yu-Gi-Oh. Like, I get it. All this to say, I understand why they feel they need a card to serve a similar purpose. But also, board breakers are insanely broken now, and I don't think you need 15 of them. I don't think you need to draw 17 cards to beat a combo board. I mean, I've won multiple games going second in Masterduel, and I'm sure you have too, without ever drawing Maxx C, and just, you know, just using board breakers, a couple of hand traps, a little Imperm here, you know, a nice monster here, there, you know, there's a lot of decks have ways of going second, even if they're not meant or built for going second, without needing Maxx C or needing like 20 draws, you know. I'm really glad to see a change like this, and I really can't wait for this card to come out. I know it's going to be a while. Like, I'm talking about this now, but I can't even imagine how long it's going to be before this card is out in Masterduel. But I did kind of want to discuss this because I want to know your guys' thoughts. I mean, it's really cool to see a Maxx C card with more limitations. A lot of people were thinking if they can't remove Maxx C, they should just errata it, and this is basically as close as you're going to get to a Maxx C errata. Let me know in the comments if you guys think this card will coexist with Maxx C. I'm super convinced that we will not see Maxx C and this card legal at the same time. And if I have to eat my words on that, I mean, you'll see a rant video of me complaining, because that would be that would actually, I would change my mind. At that point, I'd be like, never mind. They are stupid. If they did have these two cards legal at the same time, I'd be like, okay, no, they actually are stupid. My bad. I was wrong. They are stupid. But I don't think they're stupid, and I don't think they're going to be legal at the same time. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I know this was kind of a rambly video, but I really wanted to discuss this because, I mean, we have all been wanting Maxx C banned in Masterduel forever. and it really seems like the OCG is taking steps to ban it in the OCG. And obviously, even though we have our own ban list, our ban list is a lot more reflective of OCG in general, game design. So I wouldn't be surprised if, well, actually, I'm confident if Maxx C gets banned in OCG, is going to end up banned in Masterduel as well. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Very curious to hear it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. Thank you for supporting. Look at my nice camera. That's you. That's thanks to you. Isn't that crazy? All right. Peace.